Hello, good evening, my name is Blackhead and welcome to my stream. So today going to continue playing more of the UFO Aftershock. We still need to build that ship and modules, which takes some time. And I need to capture a lot of those areas, countries, whatever I want to say. Ooh, yeah. Hope you have a nice weekend. For me, as always, nothing special, nothing was happening. I was just 3D printing stuff. Damn it. Alright then. Oh yeah, we already have a mission here. We can just directly attack them, right? I think I have nothing special here. Oh yeah, I modified their weapons. Yeah, launch mission. Let's do this right away.
What now? Attack what? I don't see nothing.
Okay. What they were shooting? What the hell was that?
What do you want me to do now?
Ready or not, you're
All right. I need to save them.
on my way.
I'm done.
I see one.
Like hell I will.
Awaiting your order.
Moving out.
Go. Are you kidding?
From
Targeting the enemy.
Listen, got company.
We've got company.
Here they come.
What?
No way, that's gone.
Get 'em all.
Again? Yeah, I see him.
I've got him, Commander. I'll get him.
What?
Sure,
Yeah,
I'll get
I
him.
see him.
He's gone.
What
Oh
now?
right, but this.
Bring it up, Commander.
My attack is screwed.
What now?
Targeting the
Abort.
enemy.
What? What? Do I have to get them all? Oh, hell. Now he's out of range.
He's gone.
Listen, we got company.
Listen, we've got company.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Look out.
That's
No
not
way
possible.
I can do that. What do you want me to do now?
He's gone. Fall back. What's next, Commander?
I think I lost him. Anyone see him?
What?
Sure.
You gotta
I'll
be
get him.
kidding
Oh,
me.
He's
hell.
moved
Now
out
he's
of
out of
range.
range.
Again?
On my way. Awaiting your orders.
Let's go on this side then.
Go again.
What do you need, Commander?
I'm here.
What's next, Commander?
What now?
What's
Good
next?
to go. Orders,
Well,
Commander?
I'm done. What?
Your orders, Commander?
I
What?
see
Do
him.
I have to get them all? Like
Not
hell
afraid
I will.
now.
Again?
I
Okay.
can't finish the attack, Commander. Right. Here we go.
Let's try to find this.
There's one. I see one.
Yeah,
hell I
I
will.
see him.
What now? Yeah, I see him.
What?
Sorry.
My
can't
attack
finish
is
the
screwed.
attack.
Do I have to get them all?
Sure. I'll get him. There's one over there.
Yes, sir. Ready. I can't see the
I'm
target.
here. I see him.
Oh, hell. Where'd he go?
Sorry.
What now?
That's just too far.
Commander, that's
not
the
too
target.
far.
Orders, Commander. I'll get him.
What?
Heading out.
Okay.
Again?
Yeah, I'm
on.
going.
What now?
On my
Go
way.
again.
Moving out. Again, Commander.
The attack.
Here they come. Are you kidding? On my
Yeah,
way.
I'm
Here we go.
Look
Heading
out.
That's no good. Which way?
What? Great.
Yes, sir.
Here comes trouble.
Good to go. Done.
What?
Targeting
What? Do I
enemy.
have to
Yes,
get
sir.
them all?
He's too
you
far
gotta
away
be
now.
kidding
What's
me.
next?
What now?
Yeah, I see.
He's gone.
Yes?
Heading out, Commander.
My attack is screwed.
Huh? Ready or
Aborting.
not, here I come. Anybody see where he went?
What?
Here I go again.
Oh, okay. Cool. That was fast. That is mine. I think that's... Oh yeah, it's over here. This is South America. Okay, let me just check the manufacturer. Come on. Oh, this stuff here. You're manufacturing heavy armor here. Okay. The space factory is going on. 3 days. Okay, that's shorter. They keep attacking here. You have a chance to go there. I need to go from here to here. Here. It's a rather long way, and I don't have a lot of materials. I mean, this one. Creep squad, I think this is fine. Oh, wait. Save first. Save here. Gosh.
What do you want me to do now?
Again?
On my way.
Again.
Go.
Yeah, I'm going.
You need something
Want me to do now?
I'm done.
What? Yeah, I'm
Again?
going.
Yes, sir. Ready, sir. Done.
Huh? Ready or not, here
Look
I
out.
come.
Great.
Oh
Here
crap,
goes
these
trouble.
guys are.
Yeah,
Oh.
I see him. What? What now?
Yes? Sure. I'll get him.
What? Like
Attack
hell I will.
aborted.
My
Again?
attack is
What,
screwed.
do I have to get 'em all?
Aborting.
What?
Kiss him
Yeah,
goodnight.
I
My
see.
attack is screwed. Aborting.
Again?
Yeah, I see.
I can't finish the
hell I
attack,
will.
Commander.
Whew, okay, I guess we're getting better. I have no clue how, but here we go.
Yes, sir.
What now?
What's next, Commander?
Good
Well.
to go.
I'm done.
What?
Orders, Commander. Yes, sir.
What do you want me to
Need
do
something?
now?
What do you need, Commander? Awaiting your orders.
I don't want to go way too forward. This.
Yes, sir. Heading out, Commander. What's next, Commander? What do you need, Commander? I'll get him. Awaiting your orders. Ready or not, here I come. What's next, Commander?
What?
Attacking,
I'll
Commander.
get him.
Did you see that?
Again?
There we go.
I'll
What?
get him.
Do I have to get
Yes,
them all?
sir. Kiss him
And
goodbye.
complete.
What now?
Targeting enemy.
Sorry.
Attack
What?
aborted.
What?
I'm done.
Consider it
Yeah,
done.
I see him.
I don't understand this cloud.
Orders, Commander. I've got him.
What now?
Sorry.
What, do I
that's
have to
just
get
too
them all?
far.
Come on.
Yes, on my way.
Yes, sir.
Come on, this cloud. I went too close, see? Yeah, I have trouble with this. Go with this here, reload. Okay. And it was fine, but that cloud, I cannot kill him.
Awaiting command. Off I go.
Awaiting instructions.
I'm ready.
Here I go again.
Relocating.
Yes, sir.
Awaiting command. Awaiting command. Awaiting
Standing
new
by.
orders.
What now?
Awaiting
Task
new
completed.
orders. I'm going.
What do you want me to do now?
There's the little freak. I'm ready. I'll take
Engaging
him out.
enemy.
I see him.
I see him. He's as
Target
good as
out.
Did I
dead.
get them all?
Enemy sighted.
Where did that scumbag
Look out.
go? Command. I'll take him out.
Target moved out of range.
Too far. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Attack aborted.
Your order.
I read.
I'm ready. Attacking. Your orders. Your orders.
Good to go.
You?
I'm ready.
These guys.
He's as good as dead.
Target acquired.
I'm ready. Your orders.
Kick ass.
Your orders.
What? Yeah, I see him.
I've got to stop my attack.
Ready. Attack aborted. Good to go.
Okay.
Consider
Target
it
has
done.
vanished.
Now he's out of range. Again?
Engaging enemy.
On my way. Yes, sir. Sure thing.
Awaiting command. I'm ready. I'm done.
Good to go.
Standing by. Target acquired.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Done. Good to go.
Attack what? I don't see nothing.
Moving out.
Awaiting
Kiss 'em
command.
goodbye.
What?
Repositioning.
Yeah, I'm going.
Oh, there we go. Loop. Don't deal with this. Space Program Factory, yeah, Denver. Go. És welcome, how are you doing, man? How was your Monday? Doing alright. Nothing special today, so there we go. No, I'm not. You? Are you going working from home? Because I will be going to be jealous of you. Don't know yet. Okay. For me, Oh, I would be just if you do. I would be fine if I would be like on pause. Not working from home, but like on pause. For us, they don't want to give us like work from home or something like that. We have some kind of special, how can I say, special requirements. Right, mission. I cannot take that. I can mission here. But I'm already there. Let's go to the squad A, yeah, squad A. Squad A. Let's go from here. Safe.
Again? Here I go again.
Right.
My way.
Here we go.
Awaiting your orders.
Heading out.
What do you want me to do now?
Here we
What?
go.
What's next, Commander?
Again?
On my way.
I guess I need to go.
Orders, Commander.
What do you want me to
Awaiting
do
your order.
now?
Wait, what kind of... Oh, man, we can go here, I think. Not sure.
What?
Yeah.
Ready or not, here I come.
What now?
Heading
There I
out,
go
Commander.
again.
On my way.
Heading out. Done. What's next?
I'm done.
Here I go.
Yeah, I'm going.
On my way.
What do you want me
orders,
to do
Commander?
now?
What?
Okay.
Ready
Here
or
I go
not, here I
again.
come. I'll get him.
Look out!
How did they?
What was that?
Need something?
Prim, let's go.
On my way.
Ready, sir.
Like hell I will. Again?
I see you.
Screw you!
What? Where'd he go?
Targeting enemy. He's
Can't
too
attack
far
it
away.
if I can't see him.
Right now. Yeah, I'm going.
No. Go there, like that.
Yes, sir.
Again?
Come again, Commander?
What?
I
What?
see
Do
him.
I have to get all?
Complete the attack.
I've aborted the
Orders,
attack.
Commander.
Bring it
Gotta
on.
be kidding.
Oh, hell.
Good to
Now
go.
he's out of
Where'd he
range.
go? What now?
Did you see that?
What?
Come on.
Targeting
What, do
enemy.
I have to get them all?
Aborted the attack. Kiss him goodbye.
Anybody see
My
where he
attack is
went?
screwed. Aborting.
Yes, sir. Huh?
Let's use you. Let's kill him.
Anything you say.
Good to go. On my way. Moving out.
What's next,
On my
Commander?
way. Moving out.
There we
On
go.
my way. Kick ass. Done.
Yes, sir. Will do.
There's more of them?
Heading out, Commander.
What now?
Here I go again.
Go. Heading out.
Yeah, I'm going.
What do you need, Commander?
That is good enough.
Yes, sir.
Awaiting your orders.
What?
Yeah, I'm going.
Here I go.
Let's go here.
Well, I'm done. What now? What do you want me to do now?
Done. What's
I'm
next?
done.
Well, I'm
Good to
done.
go.
Ready or not, here I come.
Damn it.
What?
What do you want me to do now?
Why?
What's
Orders,
next,
Commander.
What?
On my way. That does it.
Yes, sir. Good to
Awaiting your
go.
orders. Heading
Moving
out,
out.
Commander.
Here.
What's next?
I'm done.
Again?
Here I go.
Ready.
Ready or not, here I come. What's
Done.
next, Commander?
Orders,
Come on,
Commander.
come on, let's go.
Heading out, Commander. Ready or not, here I come. Awaiting your orders.
Does
What's
it.
Good
next?
to go.
What's
Done.
next, Commander? Attacking, Commander.
Ready. Kiss 'em goodbye.
I
Attack
can't finish the
aborted.
attack, Commander.
Hey, there we go. Okay. That's the energy. Plasma weapon operation. Why can't we do have all of these? Oh, I don't have research this one, whatever. Let's just research. Music is getting imprinted into my brain. There you go. Okay. Bark? And bark, 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 bark. Oh, right away, out of the gate they're going to attack me. Okay. Suit yourself, you're going to die anyway.
What now?
Ready or not, here I come.
I don't see
Yeah,
him,
I
Commander.
see.
Anybody
What am I
see
to do
where
now?
he went?
Kiss him
Yeah,
goodbye.
I see him.
Enemy.
Lost sight of that target.
From here?
Can't
What,
see the
do I have
target.
to get them all?
You need something?
Look out!
What?
I'll get him.
Do I have to get them all? Time. Here I go again.
Ready.
Well, I'm done.
Hit that from here?
Afraid not.
Target the enemy. He's too far away now.
Something. What do you need, Commander? Attacking, Commander.
Like hell I will.
That's
Got
way
it.
out of range.
If I
Here I
can't
go.
see.
Here we go.
I'll
I
get
can't
him.
see the
again.
target.
Done. What's next?
Again?
Targeting enemy. I've aborted the attack.
Good to go.
Damn it.
Ready.
Goiko's getting hammered.
No way I can do that. Orders, Commander.
What? Yeah, I'm going. Yeah.
Anybody see where he went?
Wither and die.
This wasn't great.
What now?
On
Ready or
my
not,
way.
here I come. Heading
I
out,
go.
Commander. Anybody see where he went?
Attack.
Hell.
Fire at will.
Where'd he
Right.
go?
Here we go.
Yes, sir.
He's gone.
What do you need, Commander?
Ready, sir.
Awaiting your orders.
What?
Enemy has disappeared.
Done. What's next?
I'll get him.
Yeah, I see him.
Again?
Kiss him goodbye.
What was that?
You need something?
Attack, Commander.
What now?
Fire.
Yeah, I see.
You have to get them all. Yeah,
What, do
yeah,
I
I see
have to
it.
get them all?
Son of a...
My attack is screwed.
Why?
Aborting.
That's just too
Son
far.
of a... Son of a...
These are
What? Again?
Heading out.
What?
That's
Yeah, I see him.
What's next, Commander?
I'm
Yes,
afraid
sir.
Attack
not.
is screwed. Aborting.
Again?
damn.
What do
Okay,
you
I think
need,
because
Commander?
they're getting like possessed.
Here I go again.
Yes, sir.
What do you want me to do now?
Son of a...
Anybody see where he went?
I think I'm going to reload. Attack on different location. That is why there's side. Yeah. At least I know. What does that mean? Guess I'm getting with the side effect.
What now?
Ready or not, here I come.
What?
What do you want me to do now?
Orders, Commander?
What now?
Yeah, I'm going.
I
Okay.
see one. Yes, sir?
What?
Right,
Here I go again.
Here we go.
Now get him.
Yeah, I see him.
I can't finish the attack,
Again?
Commander.
Here I go again.
Well,
Orders,
I'm
Commander?
done.
Look out!
Moving out.
Not those bugs.
Like hell I will.
I've aborted the attack.
I can't complete
What?
the attack.
Well,
Yes, sir.
I'm done.
I'm here.
Done.
Here I go.
What now?
Ready or not, here I come. Awaiting your orders.
Yeah, I'm going.
Done.
Heading
What's
out,
next?
Special
Ready
here.
or
That's
not, here I
here.
come.
I heard something.
Here I go again. What?
Your orders,
Again?
Commander? I heard something.
What?
Uh-oh.
What now?
Again?
Attacking, Commander.
What?
What?
Again?
Again?
Orders,
yeah,
Commander.
Yeah, I see him.
Listen.
I've aborted the attack. Targeting
Attack is
enemy.
screwed.
What's next,
Aborting.
Commander?
What? Do I have to
Again?
get them
Got
all?
him.
Turn up.
What was that?
Hell, I
Finish the
will.
attack, Commander.
What? Do I have to get them all? Mercy
Kick ass.
is for
I can't finish the attack, Commander.
My attack is screwed. Aborting.
Prem, stop.
You kidding?
Stop.
Good to go.
I think the Prem needs that
Yes,
helmet.
sir.
But he's like doesn't use those
That does
You
it.
helmets.
got it.
I mean, he cannot use those.
Sure thing.
What now?
Heading out, Commander.
Good to go.
What do you want me to do now? What?
Heading
Yeah,
out.
I'm going.
Ready or
Here I go
not, here I
again.
come.
Well,
Awaiting your
out.
orders.
I'm done.
He's
Now
too
get
far
him.
away.
Well, I can't go there. What next?
Afraid not, Commander.
Again?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going.
Ready. Good to go.
Change it.
What do you want me
Orders,
to do
Commander?
now?
What now?
On
Here I
my
go
way.
again.
What?
Ready
Yeah,
now, here I
yeah, I'm
come.
going.
That was okay.
Again?
On
Heading
my
out.
Go
way.
again.
Here I go again.
I'm going.
Here I go. Yeah, I'm
Heading
going.
out, here I
again.
come.
On
Heading
my
out,
Yeah,
way.
I'm going.
Moving out.
What?
On
Here I
my
go
way.
again.
Here we go.
Here I go again.
What was that?
Orders,
What's
Commander.
next?
We got company.
Ready, sir.
Attack.
What now?
Heading
Moving out, here I come.
Yeah, I see him.
Ready. On my way.
Well, I'm done.
What?
Targeting
Do I
enemy.
have to get them all?
What? Yeah,
I'll
I
get
see him.
We hope.
Good to go.
Wish you could change the weapon. Thank you.
Listen.
Can't complete the attack.
I heard some.
What now?
See,
What, do I have to get them all?
What? Yeah, I see.
I can't complete
I've aborted the attack.
Do I have to get them all?
Come again,
Orders,
Commander?
Commander?
Yeah, I
get it.
see him.
Hey. Woo. Nice. Down really fast. Here we are. Can't do a mission here because this have this weird stuff. I don't know why. Go here. Okay, more E-cells. We have only one energy weapon factory. Ah, god damn it, really? Miami, okay, Miami. Miami. This. Let's see if this we should take care of, but probably will not. This, yes. Ah, of course. They took the control from me. Risha is useless. Hey, I can train him for the gunner. Gunman, yes. Start training. Yep. There we go. See it again just in case. Like always, I'm a safe scammer. Let's launch it. Okay, not the best position.
What now?
Right.
Here I go
Awaiting
again.
instructions. Standing by. Relocating.
Looking at him. They ask him he's fine.
On my way. Here I come.
What now?
Well,
Orders, Commander.
I'm done. What now?
Ready.
What do you need, Commander?
What?
Engaging enemy.
I see him. What now?
I've got him.
Save here.
Attack terminated.
Look out!
What?
Kiss
yeah,
him
yeah, I
goodbye.
see.
What?
Where you lost, Commander?
Great. Here comes trouble. Again?
Target acquired.
What now?
I'll get him.
Task completed.
I can't finish the attack, Commander.
This is just one human here, I think.
What?
What now?
Again?
Awaiting
What
instructions.
now? What?
Heading out, Commander.
Well, I'm done.
What?
On my way.
Again?
Done.
What do you want me to do
What's
now?
next?
What?
I read.
What now?
Yes, sir.
What's next,
see one.
Commander?
Well, I'm done.
Kiss him goodbye.
Targeting enemy.
Orders,
What now?
Commander. I've got
Attacking,
him.
Commander.
I
aborted the attack.
Do I have to get them
Reporting.
all?
Attack terminated.
I've aborted the attack.
I'm so happy that I can easily just wipe them off. Oh. Okay, we go here. Oops. Miami. It's probably be two of them. Why not? Let's try. Okay, save. If squad, I think it's fine. Is there a contest? Launch. Alright, I'm going to the base. I think I never saw them like going to the base.
What
On
now?
my way.
Again.
Ready or not, here I come.
Here I
Moving
go
out.
again.
On my way.
Yeah, I'm going.
What do you want me to do now?
Save here.
Here I go again.
Moving out. On my way.
Yeah, I'm going.
Repositioning.
Heading out,
Relocating.
Commander.
Look out.
Done.
Get
No
back.
line of fire.
From here?
Oh, hell. Where'd he go?
What?
Right.
Enemy sighted.
Again?
Are you
Like
ready,
hell I
Commander?
will. Great. Here
I'll
comes
get 'em.
trouble.
Again?
Right.
Attack is screwed.
What do you want me to do now?
Engaging
Yeah, I
enemy.
see.
What?
Targeting
Hell, I will.
enemy.
Again?
Orders, Commander.
Attack terminated.
What?
Heading out.
Well, I'm done.
I'm done.
Again?
This is the simpler one.
Orders,
Like it.
Commander.
On my way.
What?
Relocating.
There's
Awaiting
someone in the way,
instructions.
Commander. Ready or not,
Repositioning.
here I come.
Again?
What do you want me to do
What
now?
do you want me to
Moving
do
out.
now?
Task complete.
Look out. What?
Orders, Commander.
Your orders, Commander? Done. What's next?
What now?
Targeting enemy.
Great. Here
That's
comes
not
trouble.
possible.
Masters.
My attack
gone.
is screwed.
No can do.
Aborting. What?
On my way.
They're shooting at you.
Yeah, I see him.
Yes, sir? I've got him. Targeting enemy.
Son of a...
Son of a crap.
What now?
Heading ahead. He's
Yeah, I'm
gone.
going.
Orders, Commander? Orders, Commander?
Look out.
Yes, sir. Good to go. Ah,
What now?
Awaiting
I'm
instructions.
done.
Great. Here comes trouble.
kiss
got
him
him.
goodbye.
This is a...
We
Oh, hello.
not surrender.
Engaging enemy.
That's it. Havoc to the
I see
infidel.
one.
What?
Targeting
What? Do
enemy.
I have to get them all?
Got him.
Must depart.
Targeting enemy.
Attack terminated.
No can do.
What now?
Ready or not, here I come.
There we go. Done. Okay, that is mine. Put it here. Got stuck. Oh, it's manufactured. Okay. Browning. Da-na-na-na. Let's go here.
We've analyzed the field observations from recent weeks and have developed a few theories. There is a new alien race present on Earth. These creatures have been dubbed star ghosts because of their shimmering appearance. The other aliens that accompany the star ghosts in battle are apparently only subordinates. We believe they are pets or servants that are under the constant psionic control of the star ghosts. We
So
found
war
no
gods?
connection between these aliens and the war gods. Although the subordinate creatures are very much alive, the nature of the star ghosts themselves remains unknown. Since they don't leave corpses behind when they die, we have no way of studying them closely. Given their obvious psionic powers, it's possible that what we see in the field is merely psionic projection, and that the actual beings remain on the vessel. Since we spotted the star ghosts on Earth before the arrival of their ship, it seems that these beings can either project or teleport themselves over vast distances. At any rate, we've developed an initial strategy. Concentrate your attacks on the star ghosts rather than their minions. Without the star ghosts to control them, the other creatures pose little threat.
So the ghosts actually, the thing that you cannot see them, actually controlling them. They're usually on the back. Oh, okay, we have new autopsy stuff. Hyper weapons. What the hell? Okay. So we have hyper weapons now. Okay. See it here. Launch the mission.
Again?
On my
go
way.
again.
Here we go.
What?
Awaiting instructions.
Here I go again.
Here I go again.
Heading out.
Yeah, I'm going.
What do you want me to do now?
Again?
On my way.
Here I come.
Okay, where are you?
Going.
Heading
Moving
out,
out.
Commander.
Yeah, I'm going.
Right. Here we go.
Stand by.
What?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hi.
Afraid not,
I see.
Commander.
I see one.
Oh crap.
Again.
Ready.
Ready or not, here I come.
What now?
Huh? Heading out, Commander.
Orders, Commander.
What?
I'll
What?
get him.
Do I have to get them
What?
all?
What now?
Relocate.
He's gone.
Enemy sighted.
I can't finish the attack.
Engaging
Yeah, I
enemy.
I've
see
aborted
him.
the attack.
Yes, sir.
What now?
Targeting enemy.
What? Like hell I
Finish the
will.
attack, Commander.
What? Do I have to get them all?
What? Yeah, I see him.
Come
not
again,
possible.
Commander.
What now?
Ready or not, here I come.
Okay, good.
Heading
I go
out.
again.
Spotted a hostile.
What?
What?
Do
Do
I
I
have to get
have to
them
get
all?
them all?
Attack terminated.
What?
I'll get him.
Yeah, I see him.
Show our might.
Target
I
has
will.
vanished.
My attack is
Spotted a
screwed.
hostile.
Up
No
there.
way I can do that.
If I can't see him.
Will not surrender.
My attack is
Target
screwed.
acquired.
Yeah, I see him.
Aborted.
Attack
Finish the
aborted.
attack, Commander.
Aborting.
Okay. That's good. Maybe even that Psy helmet might be helping. I'm not sure. Oh, okay. But it's a capture thing. Capturing missions are not my favorite. Let's launch the mission.
What now?
Awaiting
Here I
instructions.
go again.
Ready
Here
or
I go
not, here I
again.
come.
Save here.
What?
On my way. Here we go.
Heading
Yeah,
out,
I'm
Commander.
going.
Relocating. Repositioning.
Ready or not, here I
Yeah, I'm
come.
going.
Heading
Here
out,
I go
Commander.
again.
Can't
Engaging
see the
enemy.
target.
From here?
Target
Can't see the
acquired.
What do you
target.
want me to do now?
Again? My
Are you
attack is
kidding?
Ready or not, here I come.
aborting. What? What
Hi.
now?
Target out of
I
range.
see
One
him.
done. What's
Standing
next?
by.
What?
Kiss him goodbye.
Attack terminated.
Can't finish the attack, Commander.
What now?
Okay, good.
What?
On
Heading
my
out,
way.
Commander.
Enemy sighted.
Target
Engaging
not,
enemy.
I see him.
Attack
Yeah.
Ready or
aborted.
not, here I come.
Moving out.
Repositioning.
What?
Relocating.
Yeah, I'm going.
Okay.
Spotted a hostile.
That's not possible.
Damn it.
Target has
He's
vanished.
gone. On
He
his
was
way.
injured.
Ready or not, here I come.
That's no good.
Look out.
Which way?
What now? What? Do I have to
right.
get them all?
Here we go.
How the hell can I do
Waiting your
that?
order.
Moving out.
What? What now?
What?
Target
What?
acquired.
Do I have to get them all?
Great. Here comes trouble.
Attack terminated.
Again?
Attack aborted.
Engaging
Yeah,
I
enemy.
see him.
Come again.
Orders,
terminated.
Commander.
Huh? Yes, sir.
Okay, Goiko, let's try with you.
Attacking, Commander.
Hey, there we go. He was actually the last one, which is good. Oh, now you want a help, huh? I have two those energy labs. Factory. Oh yeah, now I can do this really fast. No problem. I miss these easy missions.
What now?
I like them.
On my way.
Again.
Relocating.
Right.
Positioning.
Here we go. Ready or not, here I
I'm
come.
going.
Heading
Go
out.
again.
Relocating.
Heading
Here I go
out. Here I
again.
come. Did you see that?
I did see that.
Engaging enemy. Attack
I've
terminated.
aborted the attack.
I see the dead alien.
Again?
What?
Heading
Yeah,
out,
I'm
Commander. Here we go.
Again?
On
Heading
my
out.
way.
Right.
Go
Here
again.
we go. Heading out.
Target
Yeah,
acquired.
yeah, I see him.
Attack terminated.
My attack
On
is
my way.
Here I come.
aborting.
Right. Here we go.
Look out!
Engaging
Yeah, I
enemy.
see him.
Attack
Too
terminated.
far away now.
Heading out.
Yeah, I'm going.
Moving out.
Oh, only 3 of them or a couple of them? Wow. That wasn't much. Ah, okay. Is there any other country? I think I almost have them, all of the countries. Well, except those, the obvious ones. Oh, we have control here. Ah, okay. This with diplomacy. Diplomacy here, it's not much that you need. You just go and tag them and kill them, and that's about it.
Again?
Ready or not, here I
Awaiting
come.
instructions. Copy.
What do you want me to do now?
Relocating.
What? What now?
On my
Go
way.
again.
Heading out,
Position.
Commander.
Moving out.
Plastic one.
Ready, sir.
What?
On my
Relocating.
way.
No, don't abort.
Done.
What
What's
now?
next?
Here I go again.
Ready or
Moving
not,
out.
here I come.
What's it do now?
Done.
Okay.
What?
Heading out, Commander.
Yeah, I'm going.
Repositioning.
Ready or not,
Relocating.
here I come.
Look out!
Oh,
now?
phew, mutants.
Engaging
Well,
enemy.
I'm done. Yeah, I'm going.
Negative.
What do you want me to do
Position.
Here
now?
I go again.
Target
get 'em.
acquired.
What now?
Attack
My
terminated.
attack is
Heading out,
screwed.
Commander.
Aborting.
On
Ready or
my
not,
way.
here I come.
There's one.
Attacking.
Yeah, I see him.
Attack
Can't
terminated.
What?
finish the
Here I
attack,
go
Commander.
again.
Heading out, Commander.
Heads up.
What?
Oh,
do
now
I
the
have to get
flasters.
them all?
Ready or
Moving
not,
out.
here I come.
Yeah, I see.
No way.
Okay.
Terminated.
On
Heading
my
out,
way.
Commander. Ready or not, here I
Yeah, I'm
come.
going.
Heading out,
Yeah, I'm
Commander.
going.
On
Ready or
my
not,
way.
here I come.
Moving out.
Yes, sir.
What do you want me to do now?
Heading out,
Position.
Commander.
Your orders,
On
Commander.
Ready or
my
not,
way.
here I
Relocating.
come.
Ready, sir.
Oh my god, these humans are
I'm
slow.
done.
Yes, sir? Right. Here we go.
What?
Repositioning.
Again? Here I go again.
Moving out. Ready, sir? Yes, sir?
What?
Well,
Awaiting
do
instructions.
done.
Yeah, I'm going.
Can you be even more slower?
Done.
Can
What's
you be,
next?
huh?
Again?
Even slower than that?
Heading
Here I
out.
go
man.
again.
Orders,
I should be saying like
Commander?
this. Can you be even
Orders,
slower?
Commander?
Task
Awaiting your
completed.
orders.
Okay, good. Finally I have the American or the Canada American whatever here. I mean Canada goes like here. Wait, which one is the lake? These are the lakes? Why is it going like here, here, something like that? The borders. Here. Here they're attacking me a lot, but they don't care about this here. I wonder how could they spread here? Star Ghost, okay. Star Ghost. Whip Squad. Training, okay. It's only for long range? Yeah. Who is really slow? She's really slow. She's slow too. Agility. Hey, Loki, how are you doing, man? Long time no see. What is this game? This game is UFO, I don't know how to say. Aftershock. It's an XCOM-like game. So that is what I can say about it. I know they have like a management. It's like a management. It's like an XCOM game, if you know it. You have a squad of people and go on a certain mission, and you're getting like experience with them. It's basically like some kind of management, tactical strategy game. But it's not really a lot of tactical, but it's kind of that neighbor. How are you doing, man? I hope you're doing good. You're doing awesome. Yeah. So this is like a world here. I almost captured all of these regions. You can get materials from this region, and you have like bases that you're doing a management of them. Then you're like doing research. At first it seems like it's really complicated, but after you figure it out, it's not that complicated game. Heading to Canada next year. Nothing goes wrong. Oh, awesome. Canada.
Awaiting command. I'm ready.
I wish you good luck,
Awaiting
man.
command.
Awaiting
New
instructions.
orders.
But Canada is a nice like destination.
I'm ready.
Here I go again.
Maybe we can get a job at Linus Tech Tips.
There's the little freak.
Upstairs? Ah, there they are. I think that they're in Canada, but I'm not. Are they in Vancouver? They're not in Toronto, that is the main city. Because they're not. I don't know.
I'm ready. Off I go.
Yeah, I'm going.
But yeah, if you have the money, if you have opportunity,
Relocating.
you just need to get a job somehow. I know it's hard, really hard, especially during these days. Especially now that there is a real lot of cases of COVID.
Where did that scumbag go?
What do you want me to do now?
Where did that scumbag go? Orders.
Repositioning.
How the hell can I do that?
Man, I would wish to work at the Linus Tech Tips because I would love to get some of those gear and his merch and all that stuff. Like water bottle.
Yeah, I'm going.
Now they have a banana plushie for size, banana for size plushie. And those awesome CPU pillow?
I'm going. Here. Heading out.
Yeah, I mean,
standing by.
I would love to get it, but it's. Problem is that it's kind of expensive. The shipping is expensive.
Well, I'm done.
There's the little. I'm ready.
Engaging enemy.
I'm ready.
You gotta be kidding me.
Awaiting command. Awaiting command. Awaiting new orders. I'll take him out. I'm ready.
Yes, please.
Like hell I will. What now?
I'm ready.
Kiss him goodbye.
I'm ready.
Target acquired.
Bailing out. Attack aborted.
Awaiting instructions.
Awaiting command. Attacking.
I would probably spend there like easily 200 to 300 euros just for the merch.
Yeah, I see him.
I'll just buy that, I want that, and that, and that. But it's cheaper like that, you know.
Awaiting
engaging enemy.
Cheaper on a because it's not just a shipping rate. The problem is that you need to pay the taxes, like import tax for that much. So shipping plus like we have a 22% of tax to pay for the imports.
Screwed. Aborting.
No, they're not going really wild.
Are you kidding me?
At least for some stuff, yes, but not for all of the stuff, you know. At least not yet, because we can. We do have some farmlands, you know, and we can get stuff locally, even, you know, meat, like, except for like, you know, like rice or like that. But we can do no problem with pasta or like with meat and something like that. At least for now, I'm doing fine. I'm not eating like a super expensive stuff or like. I mean, like in the main city, if you want to order food, it's super expensive. Yeah, but you can like go to supermarket and buy food like that. Heritage. Yeah, we have like, you know, they're saying that there is going to be a great reset or something like that. That is what I heard. I'm not sure what does it mean. I saw that on TikTok and YouTube. Where is it? Here. Damn it. It's getting really interesting, yeah. I mean, we just got off the like recession and all that stuff, and now suddenly it's like, yeah, everything price hike, everything else, and wages are not going up, which is kind of pissing me off. I wonder what they're like for the houses that you're paying millions for them, or the people are going into the off the grid in the camper vans and stuff. I'm not even surprised actually. At first I was like, what is this new thing? But then I was thinking about it. Oh, because of that, that is happening. For me, it's just some kind of stupid. How would I say? Theory. I was just thinking about why this is happening, but can't give any conclusions. The less I'm thinking about that, the easier it is for my mind.
Your orders?
Your orders?
On my way.
Did it. Next? Here. I'm ready. Ready. There's the little freak. I see him.
Well, I don't. Oh, they're on the complete other side there.
Orders. Here.
Okay.
I'm going. Where did that scumbag go? Your orders. Where did that scumbag go?
Relocating.
Moving out.
Also, we are in the hype of
There's the little freak.
all of that cryptocurrency, NFT, and
We got company.
everything, you know.
Yeah, I see.
I see him. Your orders. There's the little freak. Ready. Your orders.
On my
Go
way.
again. Yeah.
Coming to me.
Standing by.
Ready.
Again?
I'm ready.
Task completed.
I'm ready. Look, over there. Your orders.
Okay,
What?
okay.
Do I have to get them
Your
all?
orders. He's as good as
Engaging enemy.
dead. Where did that scumbag go?
Oh, I forgot to click that. This one.
I'm ready.
Spider.
Ready. Ready. Awaiting command.
What?
No way. Attacking.
I read.
Like hell I
Target
will.
acquired.
Bailing out. Attack
What now?
aborted. I'm
My
ready.
attack is
I'm
screwed.
ready.
Aborting.
Ooh, thank you for the donation, man. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Loki. You shouldn't be doing that. You need that money more than I do.
Awaiting command.
Yeah,
I'm
thank you very
ready.
much.
Moving out.
I was surprised when I heard that. I was like, ooh, what? Coffee? Ooh. Thank you for the coffee. Coffee.
I'll take him
Yeah,
out.
I see him.
Come on, Cloud.
What? Here I go again. What do you want me to do now?
Spare ammunition is depleted.
There we go. Done with this one. Or you can actually, you know, Loki, you can move with busy plasma. but he's kind of in a wilderness of the Canada. Yeah, I mean, he was doing the special October spook thingy, the Halloween special, and then he's gone offline. He's doing like that all the time. He's like streaming for like a week or two and he's off for like months because he cannot stream all the time because he has migraines and health problems and yeah. So he's renovating his house or something like that? But that's about it, you know, I can tell. I was watching him for a bit, you know, but not always, because even for me he's having a weird, because he's from Canada. But he also cannot watch my stream because I'm not streaming in a quite a good time zone. I used to stream in the morning, but I cannot do that anymore because I have a job. There we have here, this here. That is some controls. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Still quite a lot of stuff to capture. I don't know where I can see how much of percentage I am owning the your. Yeah, it's like XCOM. I think the people, if you can check it on GOG.com. You can check there the reviews of this game, because some people they're like, "Oh, this is not good as XCOM." Look, I never played with XCOM, but this is for me. It's like it's complicated enough for my little brain. But yeah, it's like XCOM, as I said. They have some XCOM games. I don't know when I'm going to play them. I'm not sure because I have planned for 4 games, 2 games. I have actually already have a plan. One is going to be Commander Ken or Ken. Oh, War Gods. Okay. Okay. Oh, yeah, hello. Nice. Equip squad, I'm going to use this squad and launch. At first it can be kinda hard because you not know what does it work, and when you upgrade and level up your characters, I'm having these characters forever, like from the start of the game.
We go.
What?
Ready or not?
Yeah, I'm going.
Oh, hello, hi.
Yeah, I see him. What now? What? Here I go again.
Target has vanished.
Are you kidding?
Again?
Targeting target has vanished.
Lol.
Done. What's next?
Damn. He's
What
gone.
now?
I see one. Here they come.
Did you see that?
I heard something. He's gone.
Relocating.
I heard something.
Look out! Attack what? I don't see nothing.
No line of fire.
Hell,
Target has vanished.
range. What?
Like hell
What
I
now?
will.
Yeah, I see him.
He's gone.
Attack what? I don't see anything.
What do you want me to do now?
Yeah, I see.
Where'd he go?
Awaiting order. He's gone. He's too far away. Anybody?
Jesus Christ. Not the best. Not the best position to spawn in. Okay, we are in the base, so this is much better. Easier to defend.
What now?
Here I come.
Awaiting instructions.
Ready. Orders, Commander.
Although the
Ready, sir.
controls of these
Done.
What?
What's
characters,
next?
it's a bit
What do you want me to do
annoying.
now?
That's the only problem. You're by Elder Ring. Oh yeah, Elder Ring. I saw the trailer. I was like, that looks like Dark Souls, but it's a bit bright and it's look like awesome, bruh.
I see
No line
one.
of fire. Target
Visiting
out of
enemy.
range. Task completed.
What? Look out!
What? Look out!
Relocating.
Again? What do you want me to do now?
Yeah, I see.
Targeting
Hell
enemy.
fire.
I wish I could get it, but I don't have GPU for it, I think.
Are you kidding, Commander?
I'm done.
Because I have only 1070 or 1070 Nvidia. That's kinda old GPU. It's not that old, but it's working, you know. It's
Heading out.
does job well,
Heads up.
but not for all of the stuff.
Awaiting your order.
What? Do I have to get
see
them
one.
all?
Good to go.
Yes, sir.
Done.
Yes, sir.
Again?
Engaging
Yeah, I
enemy.
see him.
Aborted the attack.
Goodbye.
Aborting.
Attack
Orders,
terminated.
Commander.
Yeah, I see him.
Attack
What do you
terminated.
do now?
Moving out.
Hey,
Enemy sighted.
Orders,
Target
Commander.
I
acquired.
have to get them all?
Ready.
What's next?
Awaiting instructions.
What? Do I have to get them all?
Engaging enemy.
I'm buying, yeah, because I live in a European Union, so yeah, I'm buying with euros. Games, yeah, that is like, I don't know how much it's going to be. Is it going to be 70 or 60 euros? I have no clue. Didn't check the pricing at all. So if I'm going to buy, I'm going to buy like from other sites
What's
with
next?
keys,
Attack.
What?
On
Yeah,
my way.
I'm going.
or just wait for like a year or so to get it on a sale. That is how I got the other Dark Souls games.
Yeah,
Because
I'm
yeah,
going.
yeah, 60 euros, that is a lot for me.
Moving out. Here I come.
A lot. But yet,
Orders,
I
Commander.
am subscribed on a Humble Bundle
On my way.
yearly on a classic plan.
Again?
But that is like, that is actually worth it on the money.
Yeah, I'm going.
Repositioning. Awaiting instructions.
Because Humble Bundle, I'm paying it yearly. That is like 120 euros for that. But you know, you can get like how many? 12 games per month? That is like, you pay for one game like 3 euros, which is a lot.
Again?
I mean, Theo's like a lot cheaper. That is what I meant.
Ready or not, here I
It's
come.
cheap. It's way more
Right,
affordable for me.
Here we go. Heading out,
Where are you
Commander.
going? What now?
Ready or not, here
Promise I
I go.
don't have time to play those games. Yay, me smart.
Huh? Orders, Commander?
Ah,
Yes, sir.
god damn it.
What's next? Awaiting your orders, Commander.
There I go again.
What now?
Huh, where are they?
Well,
Moving out.
I'm done.
What now?
Ready or not,
I'm
here I
going.
come.
What want me to do
What's
now?
next?
On my way.
Well, I'm done.
Let's go over
What?
here.
What want me
Orders,
to do
Commander.
now?
Moving out.
Well,
Orders, Commander.
I'm done.
What?
So they're not here.
Heading
There I
out,
go
Commander.
again.
What's next, Commander?
What now?
Ready or not, here I come.
What now?
Done. What's next?
The only problem I have, I mean, with some older games, let's say this
Yes,
one.
sir.
What?
Orders,
I have
Commander.
a 1044p monitor,
Repositioning.
and this game it's like
Copy.
Again?
it's forced that it needs to be played at like really low resolution,
Again?
and I have actually to resize my screen
Well,
Task
from
complete.
144p to like
what?
1080p.
I'm going.
Again?
So yeah,
What? What now?
On my way.
playing code games can be pain in the butt.
Done. What's
What
next?
now?
What?
Moving out. On my way.
Yeah. I'm
Where are
going.
they? Finally, some
Yeah,
action.
yeah.
Way out of range.
Where the hell did he go?
Kiss
I
him
can't see the target.
Again? What? What
Moving
now?
out. He's gone. One.
What do you want me to do now?
He's
Orders,
gone.
Commander.
Ready.
Your orders,
I
Commander.
think I will need night shift.
Here I go again.
What's the last game of
What do
PC
you
can
want me to
run?
do now?
What do you need, Commander?
I was trying to play and stream and record at the same time was the
Yes,
Search 2.
What now?
The Search 2
Enemy
is
sighted.
like, it's a Dark Souls like game.
I read. Relocating.
Well, I'm done.
I hear something suspicious. Standing by. Repositioning. Task completed. No line of fire.
So that is why I'm playing
We've got
mostly
company.
old
Yeah,
games.
yeah.
Target has vanished. Relocating. Repositioning.
Why are they camping there? God damn it. And the Search 2 came out, I don't know, a couple of years ago.
Copy. I hear something suspicious. I hear something suspicious. Spotted a hostile. Attack terminated. Engaging enemy. Target has vanished. Target acquired.
Oh, come on.
Negative. Target has vanished. No line of fire. Target has vanished. Engaging enemy. Awaiting instructions. Relocating. Target acquired. Attack terminated.
Okay, it's that. That's good. Let's go here.
Repositioning.
Good to
Take
go.
the Neil, change it his equipment. It's a medic
On
now.
my way.
What?
Let's do the boycott
Yes, sir.
too. Boycott.
Anything you say.
Like I can't. I mean, even
I
this.
can hear the bastards sneaking around.
Even the Cyberpunk was quite a challenge,
What's
and I was
next,
just
Commander?
playing it. But that is
I read.
Damn.
that game is
Gone.
bad anyway, so. I have to lower quite a lot for that
Copy.
game.
I read.
And I was playing on old
Here's something
1080p
suspicious.
monitor, so on this one, on this resolution one, 1044p, Yeah, it's impossible.
I hear something suspicious. Target out of range. Relocating. Target has vanished. Target has
Jesus
vanished.
Christ, explosives are quite loud.
Target has vanished. Enemy sighted. Target has vanished. Engaging enemy.
Anybody see where he went?
Target acquired.
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Copy. Engaging enemy.
Good to go.
I read.
Awaiting your order.
Heal him, please.
Yes, sir. Will
Faster.
Standing by. Task completed.
Good to go.
Yeah, I just want to kill the night shift. That took quite a lot of toll on him.
Huh? Awaiting your orders.
Orders, Commander.
Okay, here's the mission. Alright, alright, alright. Let's move this ship here. Squad. He's hitting it, okay. Ooh. There we go. Ooh. He's a badass now. Lot of weird stuff here. Let's go with this weapon. Yeah, AP obviously. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-da-da-da. What else? Yeah, okay. Here, Gorko, let's see. Farm? Save it here. A lot of stuff here, man. A lot of stuff. Shit. Cut this control, okay. Oh, Eric is level 12. Oh, Aaron is actually 12. Not 12, 20. Not 12. 20. Yeah, let's go. Super heroic dexterity. Back here. There we go.
Again?
On my way. Here I come. Heading out, Commander.
What do you want me to do now?
Here I come. Heading out, Commander.
Orders, Commander.
I'm done.
Save it here just in case.
What now?
Ready or not, here I
I'm
come.
going.
On my way. Moving
Go
out.
again.
There's one.
I'll see
Yeah, I see him.
I've aborted the attack. Heads
Can't
up.
complete the attack.
Targeting
What,
enemy.
do I have to get them all?
There's one.
Yeah, I see.
I've aborted the attack.
Damn, they're so good, man.
What?
Ready,
Well,
sir. Right.
I'm done.
Here we go.
Again? Yeah, I'm going.
You need
On
something.
my way.
What
Heading
now?
out.
Go again.
Done.
What do you want me to
What's
do
next?
What? What now? What do you want me to do now?
Yes, you need something.
Moving out.
Carefully.
Done. Orders, Commander.
Look out.
What? Hit that.
What? Do I have to get them all?
Yes?
He's moved out of range.
Ready or not, here I come.
On my way. Kiss
No
him
way to
goodbye.
do it. I can't see him. Sure,
Kick ass.
I'll
In
get
the
it.
name of the
I
Master.
can't
Halt
finish
The attack, Commander.
Oh, grenade!
What's next, Commander? Anybody
Orders,
see where
Commander.
he went?
Kiss
Commander,
him
that's
That is just
far.
too far.
No, don't move.
I see him. I can't complete the attack.
Moving out.
Hey, simple. There we go. Awesome. Let me check my places. Manufacturing. How are we doing with this one? 13 hours, okay. Yeah, on the engine module, launch control. Liberate America. I mean, you need to liberate actually whole Earth, I think. The problem is I currently need to build a spacecraft which I can go on the other ship that is... I think it's the main mothership for Vaggots and all that stuff. Not Vaggots, war gods actually. Because there's a couple of enemies here. So they're mutants, they're cultists that right now I was killing. There are war gods which they're golden big dudes. There are Reticons which they're actually those grey aliens. And Star Ghosts, which there are I've battled them before with different team. It's actually quite cool, even the story. I will not be able to research all this stuff. Messy. New floor plan, floor gang. But yeah, America is liberated, except that I cannot control this. I don't know why. Europe is actually the first that I liberated, mostly Africa here and the Middle East and Asia and Australia down there. Not sure if we can go South or North Pole. Thinking can capture this. I'm not covered about this side here. It's unknown how this region can be unlocked. I'm not sure. More scanners, which I probably will not be using. Research? Is that the detection area? Yeah, looks like it, yeah. I don't care. I'm just putting it to research. Can I go mention that one? Go here. I've got this. Oh, I need to capture it. I hate capturing. So. Alright, machine gun. Wait. Can you build a drone? Fast scanner. Okay, these are just scanners. Oh, okay. 10 days. Yeah, I don't have a lot of advanced weapon factory. Track. They're gonna have a new base here. This base is California basis. No, it's Los Angeles, not California. No, California is the state. Los Angeles is the city. Okay. Knowledge required. Why is everything it's knowledge based? Come on. I'm losing this a bit now, but I'm not worried about that. Okay, save it here. Whip squad. Arch mission. Bark on land.
Again? What?
Here I go again.
Huh? Ready or not, here I go. I'll get him.
Another pagan.
Did you see that?
Again?
Yes, sir.
Are you kidding? Complete the attack.
Son of a...
What?
Oh, crap.
Huh? Attacking, Commander.
Son of a... There's one.
Enemy spotted. Heading out, Commander.
What now?
That is not great.
Yes, sir. What do you need, Commander?
What?
Targeting
What, do I have to get them all?
Yes, sir.
No way I can
What's
do
next?
Huh?
My attack is
Yes, sir.
screwed. Aborting. Look out.
What now?
You gotta be kidding me. I can't complete the attack.
Yeah, don't care. Let's finish this game. Right away. There we go. Okay, done that. Space program. This is going to be a long time, like, yeah, this one. I'm wondering about spaceship. That goes there. I need the control center here. Here I can add whatever I want, I think. Let's move here. Okay, now range. Save it here. mission? Oh, there's a lot of spots I can land.
What?
Here I come.
What?
What do you want me to do now?
Here I go.
Well,
Orders,
I'm
Commander.
done.
Okay, then go like there.
What do you need, Commander?
Again?
On my way.
Again. What do you want me to do now?
What?
Heading out, Commander.
Right. Here
Ready
we go.
or not, here I come. Heading
Yeah,
out,
I'm
Commander.
going.
Here I go.
Well, I'm done.
Ready
Here
or
I go
not, here I
again.
come.
Hey, yeah, I'm going.
Awaiting your orders.
What?
On my
Yes.
way.
What's next,
I'm in the
Commander?
USA. Yeah, I mean, bases are like just that you can do like research and manufacturing stuff, but no, you're basically, it's kind of complicated story. You're not the humans, they're the Putas, that they were working somewhere. There's some kind of story behind this, because the Earth was like target of other aliens that they wanted to use your blood for something, I don't know. But yeah,
Go again.
almost like that.
Yeah.
Although we don't
yeah,
have a
I'm
nuke, but
Heading out. Right. Orders, Commander.
Here we go.
Ready
Heading
to
out,
go
here I
again.
come.
Look out.
What?
He's
what?
too far away.
Can't
From
attack.
here?
Right.
My way.
Here we go.
Great. Here comes
Again?
trouble.
I'll see him.
Here?
I can't complete
can't
the
finish
attack.
the
I
attack.
can't go there.
Which way?
What next? What?
Heading
Yeah,
out,
I'm
Commander.
going.
There's one.
Here
hello,
I go.
hi.
Targeting
Hey,
enemy.
I see him.
Attack
Again?
aborted. Right.
Hey, yeah, I'm
Go.
going. Here I go again.
On
Yeah,
my
yeah,
way.
I'm going.
Go around here.
Moving
Here I go
out.
again.
Heading out.
Hey, yeah, I'm going. Here I go again.
Ready or
I see
not,
one.
here I come.
Where did you see one?
I
Sure.
can't see
That's
that
one.
target.
Here.
In the name
I don't see nothing.
I can't finish
Nah.
the attack, Commander.
What?
I think they're mostly inside of this building.
Heading out, Commander.
I can hear the bastards sneaking around.
Yeah, I'm going.
Did you see that?
Again.
Go that way.
Hello, how are you doing?
I can hear the bastards sneaking around.
Afraid not, Commander.
Well,
Just
don't
wait
see
for
the
the
target.
Can't see him.
What? Do I have to get them all? Yeah, I see
Attack
something.
aborted.
What?
I'll see him.
Again?
Like hell I
Can't
will.
complete the
What?
attack.
Okay, cool. Done. Is she, I know she's there. I have her from the start and she's my super sniper. She's pretty dang good. I mean, you're fighting under one nation, obviously, not nation, but just one flag. There is no like separated. Because you also have like mutants and those psychosis, as you can see. I mean, Psy people. So Psy and these are humans and the cyborgs. These are the other mutants. Oh, those are cultists actually. Yeah, okay. Oh, we are just in range? Not in range. No, we're not going to lose that base. Oh.
What do you want me to do now?
Okay, thank you, game.
Ready, sir?
Ready.
Oops.
Again? Here I go again.
This is one of the bases, but it's not actually a base because this is just a map of a base.
What now?
And nothing more. It's not really a base because you cannot ever see your base. Only on the geosphere mode or a map mode. So then for yeah, because it was actually captured by other aliens, so you are just retaking this back.
I'm here. Awaiting your orders.
I'm done.
It's hard to explain for me because there is some kind of story, a lot of story behind.
Again?
Ready or not, here I come.
Heading out.
Did you see that?
No, not really.
Ow,
way out of range.
too far. What? Enemy spotted.
Targeting
hell I
enemies
will.
just too far.
Look out! What?
Damn. He's gone.
What now?
To the enemy.
Yes,
He's moved out of range.
I'm here.
I've got him.
We
Good to go.
not surrender.
I see.
I've aborted the attack.
Cornelius.
Again?
Oh my god, this.
Yes,
Heading out,
My
Commander.
attack is
What?
screwed. Aborting.
what's next? You need something?
Targeting
What do
enemy.
you want me to do now?
I can't complete the attack.
Attacking,
I'll
Commander.
get it.
There we go.
That's
Afraid
not
not,
possible. Orders, Commander.
Okay, Neil, you need to heal yourself.
Done. Consider it done. Are you
No
kidding?
funding coming.
Orders, Commander.
Well, since you escape from the aliens and come with that to put a weird
What
yes,
now?
so yeah.
Here we go.
Well,
What's next?
I'm done.
Ready or not, here I come.
Moving out.
What do you want me to do
Commander?
now?
On my
Hey,
way.
yeah, I'm going.
Here I go again.
Ready or
Moving
not,
out.
here I come.
Heading out.
So where are the others?
Look out. Great. Here comes trouble.
That's way out of range.
Look out.
Anybody see where he went?
To the enemy.
What now?
Oh, hell. Where'd it
Heading out,
go?
Commander.
We will
I'll get him.
I'll get him.
surrender.
Great.
Because
Here comes
there's
trouble.
like quite a hole there.
Targeting
See
enemy.
to get them all?
Turn up the heat.
Attack
What?
aborted. Here we go.
Well, I'm done.
What now?
On my way.
Ready or not, here I
I
come.
thought that they're down there. So this is rather unique map.
Heading
Yeah,
out.
I'm
again.
going.
Well, I'm done.
Anyone down there?
What?
Right.
What do you want me to do
Here
now?
we go.
What now?
On my way.
What now?
Here I go again.
What now?
Well,
What?
Done.
I'm done.
Heading out.
Commander.
Right. Here we go. There's one.
Oh, they are there. Okay.
Again?
I've got him.
Like hell I
Waiting
will.
your
Attack
orders.
aborted.
Attack. Ready or
Moving
not,
out.
here I come.
Great. Here comes trouble. What?
Okay, they're
What?
there.
Do I have to get them all?
Orders,
do now?
Commander.
I can't complete
Look
the
out.
attack. Sure, I'll get him.
Great. Here comes trouble.
I see
Yeah,
him.
I see him.
Oh, son of a swoon.
I can't complete the attack.
My attack is screwed.
Hey.
Aborting.
Whew. The base of this, so this is the Argentina, Buenos Aires, looks like this. That is how you see your base. not really impressive. So you can do like this. There's some buildings there and stuff. It's not like you have a separated rooms like it's in the XCOM. I think. I never played the XCOM, but only saw it by others who played it. Make a track there. Los Angeles. So made my school there, so I can build not that one. This other one. Under barrel plasma launch. Okay. Nice firearm access. Firearm access. Where I can get that? Oh, I'm researching it. So this is going to, I'm going to have those for the next time. This is it. I don't want to do that right now. That's that. So I think I can build it. I have a heavy armor, but I found out that I cannot use that because cyborgs cannot use the same armor as humans do. That means I need to research blueprints for the thing? Not sure. Where does this go? Not there. Star Ghost. I'm going to do this one. Just one more. We go with this one. Yeah, I can do it like this. Just have to check something. Back. Manufacturing. Smoke log. Phosphorus grenade. NATO explosive. Ooh. So that's one of those special ammo. Save it here. Yeah, this what? Launch the mission.
Orders. Awaiting
Jesus
command.
Christ.
Copy.
On my way.
There's the little freak. I hear you. Now come out so I can kill you. I'll take him out. I don't have a shot. What?
Attack aborted.
I'm going.
Attack
So,
terminated.
what now? I see him. I'm ready. He's as good as
Engaging enemy.
dead. I'm ready. Off I go. Where did that scumbag go? Awaiting command. I'll take him out. Done.
Again?
Your order.
Target acquired. Ammunition supply exhausted.
Yeah, you
Bailing out.
What?
Attack aborted.
Goodbye.
Crap.
I'm ready. He's as good as dead.
get them all?
I'll take him out.
I see him.
Awaiting command.
Engaging enemy.
I'm ready. Your orders?
Moving out.
He's as good as dead. I'm ready.
Attack
No
terminated.
way.
Target
Unlikely.
acquired.
Ready. What?
What now?
I'm
Well,
ready.
I'm done.
Off I go.
What?
I'm done.
Again? What? What do you want me to do now?
Okay.
I'm
Go
going.
again.
I'll take him out.
Ammunition depleted.
Attacking. I'm ready. He's as good
Ammunition
as dead.
depleted.
Come on, die already, Ghost. I'm doing a lot of damage, only like 40 damage. Finally. Thank you. Yeah, this was simple mission, thankfully. Oh, I don't have this one here. Ghost in a sci-fi game. They are those creatures that they are living in the other dimension, that they're just above our simple mind, something like that. I don't know, but how you can shoot a ghost? I mean, with the plasma gun, I guess. But yeah, I'm going to finish it up here. I think I did a lot of almost captured the whole world just for me. So yeah, thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. Thanks to Shikaka, and thanks Loki. Thank you also for that coffee donations. Really appreciate it. So yeah, the next stream is going to be on Wednesday. More of this game. So yeah, till then, I wish you a nice Friday. Not nice Friday. What the hell? Nice day. Have fun. There you go.